It's 2 o'clock, close to it. It's Wednesday in October, and it's kind of an uncertain day, cloudy day. How are you, my friends? I'm glad to be seeing you. I can see you. I'm imagining you. I'm going through at least the list of those of you that I know that are here almost every day, and God bless you. There are some of you here every day. Love that. Yesterday, you might have noticed that after the technology problems that started in the very beginning, I got up and left the chat running. So on the YouTube page, it looks like my 15-minute chat turned into 2 hours and 27 minutes. And it was just 2 empty chairs. So some of you noticed, sent me a message and say, I think the camera is still on. But I was already gone. I had to go off to a meeting. So I came back, and I have an editor on my platform program that I can go in and fix it, and I will do that. But anyway, excuse me, what's happening in your life? How are you today? I feel like so much has happened in 24 hours since I was here. I'm trying to get my work schedule back up, get it restarted from the disruptions of the quarantine, and then further still trying to reinvent my life with all of the irregular requirements of this pandemic. I was thinking about a man I know who his job is he does advertising promotion for Broadway shows. When a show comes to Broadway, his company does the promotions and advertisements. And as you can imagine, since Broadway now has announced it's closed until next year, prospects for work for him, I don't know what he'll do. So it's a very trying time. I don't feel the trial today. Yesterday, as you saw, and Monday, I feel very good. I feel very energized and strong, but I realize the task in front of us is huge. It is huge. Trying to develop, they have these crazy, annoying words, the new normal. Figure out how to be who we want to be, and how to put back into our lives some of the things that and I know I took for granted, and I don't want to go without them. So one of the things I would love for you to do for me is that I don't know what you watch this show on. Maybe it's just a camera on or a monitor on your computer. But if you have a cell phone or a video in your phone, and you have somebody that could help you, I'm wondering if you'd be willing to turn your phone around and take a self video, and you know how you send a greeting card and you say, hi, if it's a vacation greeting card, you say, hi, wish you were here, having a lot of fun. What I'm imagining is that you might send to me a video greeting, and not to me, but to the community here, the church that still surrounds and supports this chat, the Sunday morning gatherings. Just send me a greeting. Send me something, a picture of you, a moving picture of you, and say hello. It doesn't have to be long. It could be 5 seconds, I'm not kidding. But something that shows me your beautiful or handsome face and has you saying, hi, I am so-and-so, I'm Luke Kilgore, and I'm happy to send you greetings from wherever you are. Tell us something about where you're located, or tell us something about what you're doing. And then what I'll do is I'm gonna put together and I'm gonna post them in different places in the life of our community. So I won't keep them private. So be prepared if you're a very private person and you don't want your face to pop up during the announcement time in the worship service, then don't do it. But otherwise, push yourself a little bit. These are drastic times, and we need some unusual measures to keep each other connected. I have all these images in my head of, that if we did that this time, and I'll use them in different ways, but if we did it at other times too, I have the technology here to have you greet the other people who participate in the chat. Anyway, think about it. Get someone to videotape you and send it to me. I'd love to see you. I'd love to hear your voice. I'd love to see your face. I've slept very well the last couple of nights, and I'm grateful for that. When I was younger, I used to sleep. Couldn't wake me up. But now, sleep comes, but it's easily disrupted. I have an older dog in my house, actually a very old dog in my house, who somehow I keep close watch in my mind even while I'm sleeping, to be able to take care of him and keep him comfortable. But I think that's part of that's what faith is, right? Faith is being able to go to sleep and know that God's got everything under control and doesn't need you for 6 hours. The world can be okay without you being conscious. It's a really, really funny thing about life on this planet and being human. I don't want to think about it too much, because in order for us to thrive, to do well, we have to be unconscious for a period of time. Out of it, completely unconscious. And what happens during that time? What happens in the world? Who watches the world while we sleep? The psalmist said that the God who made the heavens and the earth never slumbers and never sleeps. So that's supposed to give us permission to slumber and to sleep. I remember years ago, in the middle of the It was actually right around the time of the Iraq War and also 9/11 events. Turbulence was amazing in my life. And I was preaching, try to be as honest, as open, and transparent as I can be, and people were seeing my worry and my thoughts about what might happen or where we were headed. And one of my friends created a little sign and put it on my office door so that when I came to work on one regular morning, there was this sign, and it said, "Good morning." Now, whether or not you know it, I've been handling things here while you were asleep. And whether or not you trust it, I'll be handling the big things for today. Regards, God. See, it made an impression. Now, 20 years later, I had a friend, and we walked together in life for a while, and he was a recovering alcoholic. And he went to meetings regularly in order to maintain his sobriety, to keep his balance, his equilibrium of serenity there. And he said that in one of the night's groups, and part of the steps, if you've ever read anything in the big book, part of Bill W.'s unfolding of the 12 steps, in a couple of the steps, the reality is to be able to cope with the problems of life by literally giving them up to God, committing them into God's hands. And there was a speaker-presenter one night in the group where my friend attended who said that he likes to imagine the cosmic escalator. And when things just trouble him to no end and he's tempted to medicate or intoxicate in order to be able to cope with his feelings of pain, he just tries to visualize a great big escalator, like in the department store. And he takes the thing, the issue, the problem, and visually tries to wrap it up, put a wrapping around it, put it in a box, put a wrapping around it, put a bow on it, even maybe, and walk over to the bottom of the cosmic elevator, set it on the step, and watch it ascend. So these kinds of stories are helpful, right, to cope sometimes with things. But my friend said his problem is he follows all the way along the idea of trying to get that worry or that concern or that overwhelming, undoing thing into a space, put it on the escalator. I like that. Send it up. Maybe that's a prayer. That's it. We're sending it up to God. But my friend said, to me, he said, my problem is I can do all that. And he said, and then I start walking. And as I walk, the other side of the escalator is coming down. And here's the box sitting right on that escalator, coming right back down to me. Let go and let God, right? So, pick the box up, walk back over to the up side of the escalator, and send it back up again. Among the things that are very hard today, and there are lots of things to worry about: job loss, illness, isolation. But it's also a great opportunity. It is a really, really good opportunity to exercise the muscles of faith. To put things on the escalator and send them up. Ask God to take care of them. Or at least to get them out of the self-destructive patterns that ruin us. So, God built into the relationship of life, sleep. Sleep. Unconsciousness. Mostly you can't hear anything that's going on. You certainly can't see anything. You enter into a whole world of dream, which is sometimes can be very realistic, but has nothing to do with anything that's going on around you. And we know that during that time the body rebuilds itself. Cells are replaced. Healing takes place for damaged places. While you're unconscious, your body takes the energy that you would be using to walk and talk and do all the things you do, and it turns it inward. It turns it toward you, and it nurtures you, and it takes care of you, and it rebuilds your blood, and it helps with stretched muscles. It rebuilds brain cells. I forgot to turn my phone off again. I'm sorry to interrupt us again. You see, normally I'm immune to interrupting anybody to talk on the phone, except I've gotten into a really bad pattern here because some of you call me when the camera's not working. Or you'll send me a text and say, hey, the volume is off. So it's not a big crisis for me. I lay my phone over there, and if it starts ringing, I'm focused here. I am. And if you were in my office and we were having a conversation, some of you have been there to do that. I don't take phone calls. But I'm in a bind to sit here and keep talking to you when someone's trying to call me and say, Pastor Lou, the camera went off. It's not working. So I apologize for the interruption. So we were talking about the Sabbath of sleep and how miraculous it is that in order for us to be successful or to be happy or to be anything that is working in life, you have to be able to shut off. You have to be able. The pathway to success is the ability to not work towards success for 6, they say 7 or 8 hours a day. I don't know how many of us actually get that much sleep. I don't think many. Isn't it interesting? It's counterintuitive. You want to do well? You got to take some time doing nothing. And I was saying that this is a great opportunity to exercise those muscles of faith. There's a lot to worry about, a lot to be concerned about, but finding the time and the space. I mean, it's one thing to be able to put your worries away so that you can sleep. It's another thing, too, to find a space where you can put your worries into God's hands while you're awake, too. So you can enjoy something of life. Notice the beautiful leaves and the change of the seasons. Don't just let them go by. It's a time to exercise our faith. It's a time to embrace the nothingness of what we can really do. And to try to live into that with some ease. I mean, there's plenty of things to do. And there's a lot you can do. Well, if it's 24 hours is the day, eight hours is about a third. It's a third. 1/3 of our life, we are called to be unconscious. And it's in that space, you see, the ancient ones, in their listening to God who made the world, determined that there was a clue in that if 8 hours were for sleep and we were unconscious, that somehow being willing to embrace doing nothing, even when there was a lot to do, would mean more of a healthy way of life, a way of faith. My grandfather was a Presbyterian elder, Dale Doherty Kilgore, and he was famous in his community for taking a siesta. He didn't call it that, but he took a nap every day after he ate lunch. And the reason he was famous is because in farming, which he did, it was a dairy farm, but we raised almost all the food for the cows. So we had hay and wheat and barley and oats and all the things that we needed to feed the cows throughout the year, we raised from the ground. And we would mow hay in the morning on a day, knowing that there was a threat of rain. Now rain could ruin hay. Cut it down, it dries in the sun for an hour or two, and then it gets to a certain kind of dry moisture, and you can put it through a machine to bale it up and carry it into the barn for winter. But if it gets rain on it, it turns brown and the cows won't eat it. But my grandfather, we would mow in the morning and knock down acres and acres of hay. It would be drying, and we would know that the forecast was for rain at 4 o'clock. My grandfather, unlike any other farmer in the area, instead of jumping up from the table and rushing out in the hot sun in the afternoon and getting that hay baled, my grandfather would take a nap. He'd take a nap. He believed that his willingness to do that, to set aside a daily Sabbath, to rest, ultimately would lead to a greater sense of success than having first cutting of hay in the barn without any rain. He saw it as his faith practice. And he was famous for it. People would talk about it all the time. They would tease him about it. He took his afternoon nap. Now, sometimes it wasn't long. It wasn't 2 hours. But sometimes that half an hour would make all the difference in terms of whether any of the hay got wet or not. And he didn't send us out. There was just this quiet time every day. Just take a break, and when the rest was over, we raced out into the fields. We watched the clouds, and we worked as hard as we could to see to it that we got the hay in the barn. You spend 1/3 of your life unconscious. I spend 1/3 of my life unconscious. And the earth spins, and it goes round the sun, and the universe turns, and there's day, another day. Rest in the Lord. Rest in the Lord. Something to hold on to in these troubled times. The Lord God, who is the maker of heaven and earth, never slumbers, never sleeps. So we can rest, so we can take a Sabbath, so we can have healthy lives, full of the richness that comes from reflections and times to chat and times to find the good things in the pathway of life. All right, my friends, I probably talked to you to go to sleep, but I hope not. I hope it's a stirringness to that muscle of faith that will help you to trust God through whatever might be sitting in front of you or that you're worried about. God bless you, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Come on back for a chat in my office.